when you think of poverty in Jamaica, you're not thinking to that level.
Yeah, at least you have toothpaste and
toothbrush. At least you have a little toothpaste.
At least you're bathing on the morning and them things there.
Yeah, jump in a river. What up, what up, what up?
Hey everybody.
Hi people, I am Maria.
And I am Channice.
And this is our podcast, Cinema
Chicks.
We want to remind you guys right now to like, subscribe, comment, share. Let other persons know that, hey, you guys need to listen to Cinema Chicks because they're awesome.
They're so cool. Their perspectives.
So, today, we're discussing another Netflix film.
Yes, we are.
It is White Tiger.
Right. This movie was actually suggested to us by one of our followers on Instagram. Hopefully she's a subscriber.
Big up to our follower who made a suggestion. We'd love to take anybody else's suggestion.
Right, you guys can leave your suggestions in the comments or send us a DM on Instagram. Let us know which movie, which series you guys are interested in hearing about. Now, this movie is based in India. I would basically say it's a story about good versus evil. And it's a rags to riches story where we're following the life of this poor boy who goes by the name of Balram.
Right, so I just want to give us a background. It is based in India, it is set in India. We're looking at the life of a lower class individual who is basically at the bottom of the caste system.
Yes.
And we see him early on in life where he showed a lot of potential in school, and they said that he was the white tiger of the class because I guess it's trying to say that he was showing potential, and they kind of compared it to an actual white tiger where it's basically like a 1 in a million type of thing. But then he ended up having to leave school early because of family obligations. His father died and he had to start working
because they couldn't afford to pay for school anymore.
Right. So then he was taken out of that, so he had to find another way to progress. But he was very proactive and he knew that he wanted more than just doing the regular old simple jobs as most of the other persons in his community would do.
Right,
so he actually went out and sought this job that of becoming a driver to a wealthy family.
It seemed as though he was determined to make it out of the slums that he grew up in.
Very determined.
Right. So unlike his brother and his grandmother who comfortably lived in the state that they were in, he was always of the mindset that I need to get out of here, and he was always looking for an opportunity to get out of the slums. And I think at one point in the movie he finally found the opportunity and made the most of it at that time. He
saw the family of the landlord to his community, the poor community that he lived in. The landlord's family would come ever so often, collect the money from these people, and he'd see them come in these big cars and they're wealthy. And then one day he saw the son of the father, the big man, the landlord, the man who come take your money, and he said, I'm going to be that guy's driver. This is my chance. Shows up at the landlord's house, goes on his knees literally, and begs to be the driver. This is his start.
Yes, he was so determined to be the driver. He was so determined to get out of his situation that he didn't leave.
But he was the second driver.
Right.
So they had the first driver who was there for many years. I think he said he was there for like 10 years. Would just give him like random tasks around the house to do, like clean this, wipe that, do whatever, which is not driving. And Channice, do you remember how it is that he got rid of him? Because he had something on him.
Right. Okay, so in the beginning part there were themes of religion, like strong themes of religion. And I don't know the exact culture in India, so I don't want to speak too much on it, but it seemed as though the first driver was a Muslim and the masters, the ones who hired him to be the driver, never liked Muslims. I don't know why. I don't feel like that was really explained in the movie, but there seems to be some kind of dislike for Muslims, and he was hiding the fact that he was a Muslim, and Balram followed him one day and found out that he was a Muslim and basically held that against him. I don't quite remember what happened to the first driver.
First driver was supposed to take the son and the son's American wife to Delhi, and then at this point Balram said, no, I'm going to take them to Delhi. This is my opportunity to now go even further into this job, make some even more money and make something even better for myself. So he basically blackmails the first driver, and we never saw what he said to him, but we know that it was a threat to basically reveal his secret, because he had to change his name too. The first driver had to change his name in order to even have gotten this job, because they do background checks into you. When we say background checks, we know like is one gangster man going to your family community and asking questions and finding out who you are, such and such. So for him to even have gotten there, he had to change his name, lie about his name, and I guess who his family is, where he came from, because if they would have found out that he is a Muslim or whatever religion he was, he would never have gotten the job. So Balram blackmailed him and said, I'll reveal the secret. Right.
What did you think about Balram as a character?
Balram at first was likable because he seemed very innocent.
Okay.
He seemed very innocent, and he wasn't tainted by the evils of what comes with wealth and high class. He didn't know anything about that. He didn't know anything about money. He didn't know anything about status. He didn't know anything about how you keep those things. And so he wasn't tainted by it.
I would definitely agree with that. I would definitely agree, because there's a point in the movie where we see that shift.
Yeah.
Where we see him shift from being the innocent Balram. So innocent, in fact, that he was naive to a lot of things.
Yep.
At one point in the movie, we see that he had never brushed his teeth before.
That's what that meant.
That's what that was.
Oh my God.
He was so poor that
really?
Yes, that was the first time he was actually vexed with his father for never teaching him to brush his teeth.
Jeez, when him open at the screen with him teeth and him a brush and him just said something, I said, what is that? I'm like, okay, brush him teeth, but him did make a comment like luxury or something. I don't remember what it was, and I said, alright, him just a brushing teeth. But that just goes to show you the level of
poverty.
I want to go even lower. It's even lower than poverty. It's lower than that, because when you think of poverty in Jamaica, you're not thinking to that level.
Yeah, at least you have toothpaste and toothbrush.
At least you have a little toothpaste.
At least you're bathing on the morning and them things there.
Yeah, jump in a river. Whatever you need to do.
Yeah, it was that bad.
It was so bad, and it just made me think about really how the caste system in India is. You know that India is like, or is it the most populated country?
I would say yes.
That's that country, or
that's
China?
What I think, yes.
And you know that, you know, like everywhere you have upper class, middle class, lower class.
Yeah.
But to watch this movie make you realize like how bad the social classes are.
Yeah.
You know that they have a caste system, and you know that you have this hierarchy and all of that,
but watching this movie for real really opened my eyes to just how terrible it was.
Yeah.
But Balram, I feel sorry for him, because as you said in the beginning, he was very smart, and the teacher saw that in him and thought that he was going to make it. This is a white tiger. He's 1 in a million.
Yeah.
This kid has what it takes to go far. and for that to be ripped from him because his family couldn't afford to pay school fee.
But you know, that's
terrible.
It is terrible. But you know, that's the reality for not only like the lowest of the lows. That's the reality for just like a regular lower class families. For some people, even in Jamaica, sometimes you have to just come out of school early and just start working. You're not able to get your full education, and so the cycle continues because you can't do anything better for yourself.
He compares poor people to chickens in a coop. And there's the analogy of the chickens being right there and seeing when the farmer takes one chicken out and chops the head off. They know that they're next. And they don't run away when the farmer reaches his hand into the coop. They know that it's coming, and they've accepted their fate. So that's kind of what happens, is that you're in this slum, this ghetto, and you don't have the money, and it's almost as if you don't even think that there is money available. Like there are other options, like you can ask or get it from here, get it from there. You're just of the mindset that this is what happens,
and that this is life. And like it
happened to my father, it happened to my mother, it happened to so we're just not going to afford school, and that's just what happens, and then we go work. That's just how it goes.
Exactly. And it's like you're not even thinking. So that's why I say he was kind of proactive and business minded in a way, because it's like he is one of the only persons probably in his community who thinks that, no, I don't need to just do this. I can do better.
He was aware. He was self-aware.
Yes.
Right. So he was aware that he was in the chicken coop, but he never wanted to be slaughtered. So he was trying to get away from that kind of mentality.
What I want to talk about, politics and corruption.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
Yes, and it was a big theme in this movie as well.
And this is where Balram now starts to get a taste of what it's like to maintain this kind of wealth and to maintain your status.
Right, because when he was new to the house, I think the prime minister, was she?
Whatever, yes, something, whatever the equivalent to prime minister is, yes.
Right. So this is his first time seeing this type of wealth. He's not used to seeing how they socialize, what they do, how they keep their money, and so on. And so he's fresh and new to this environment, and he's seeing them interact with this notable person.
Because he actually looked up to her, this woman, because she came from the same class as he did.
Oh, yes.
And I think he even had a post of her back in his community, and everybody looked up to her and praised her and said, look, she did it, and she made something of herself. And then she comes to the house now with the wealthy family he's working for, and she just downright corrupt. And he's like, this is the lady you're looking up to.
This actually, now that we're going back through it, these are seeds that are being planted in Balram's head. He's like, she made it out, and then him find out, oh, but she's corrupt. That's how she make it out.
But he stuck to his innocence for a long time.
Very long time.
He was very observant.
Yes.
And he noted.
Stood back. He stood back, right, and was very observant.
He noted a lot of things, but he never acted on it until very late.
Yes, and I feel like a lot of things triggered it too.
I
don't think he was going to act on it. I think he saw these things and he was just thinking, that's how rich people act, this is how poor people act. But there are a series of things that kind of set him off. Well, they were paying them. They said that they were paying them so that they don't have to pay taxes. Because even at one point in the movie, when Balram was hallucinating and we see his father drive up beside him in the car, and was saying like, they don't pay their taxes, they're robbing us.
Exactly. And I think that is when him decide.
Actually, yes, I agree with you.
That is when him decide, say, oh,
yes,
watch how we're going to make a switch on them now.
Them robbing us? Okay then. Him just decide say, alright, I'm gonna rob them back now. There's one character called Pinky, who's played by Priyanka Chopra Jonas.
Yeah, she was a little bit oblivious as well to what she was getting into in India, because she met the landlord's son, who she's now married to. She met him while he was in school in America. She grew up in America. She's Indian, but she grew up in America, and so she's not familiar with caste system and the rules of the status and this and that. But they fell in love, got married, and then they came back to India. She was only significant in showing the Western world and the opinions of what it's like on the other side of the world. Her character was just there to compare and remind you that life isn't like this everywhere. Right. So she was just pointing us to the fact that a lot of things that were happening were a little bit ridiculous. Like, if it was elsewhere, if we were in the Western world, these things wouldn't be happening in the way that it is necessarily. And that's the only significance she had to me.
I agree with you in that her character was put there to contrast the two worlds. In India, the woman is just supposed to sit and smile, and she was very opinionated, and she always made it clear, like, this is what I want, whatever. And also, she was against the way they treated the employees.
Correct.
So she was like, you wouldn't be able to treat somebody like this in America. There are laws that prevent you from doing that, and so and so. She was kind of supposed to have a conscience, little bit.
I mean, she did.
Because, alright, so a significant thing that happened in the movie is...
It was her birthday. They went out, she and her husband, went out to this club. They were drinking, having fun. And it was time for them to go back home. But naturally, they don't drive themselves anywhere. They have a driver, Balram. She comes out drunk and decides that she won't drive. She basically tells Balram, get out of the car. She actually left him on the side of the road at first, speed off, and then she come back eventually. And then she's still driving. While they're driving, they're singing and laughing and chatting, not really concentrating. She's drunk. And she hit over an unidentified person, still don't know who the person is, kills the person. And then Balram comes out and decides that, nobody saw what happened. Let's just go. And she's freaking out. She's still in her state. And Balram takes back over the driving. They go home. And she was having a hard time dealing with that because she wanted to come clean, but I think she wanted to take the person to the hospital.
Yes.
But they decided, like, no, let's just go away because we don't know what's gonna happen from here. Balram's reaction immediately after he gets them out of that situation was that he was satisfied.
Yes.
He was proud of himself for getting them out of the situation, and he was so happy that he handled a difficult situation so well.
He served his master well.
He served his master so well, and
but
he was happy about it.
The point I want, before we move on with that point, the point I was going to make is in terms of her having a conscience. Sure, she was battling with it, and she eventually leaves India because she couldn't deal with the thought of living there and not confessing. When she leaves, she gives Balram an envelope with, how much was it? $7,300 rupees.
And then we see him a couple days after that walking around pacing, saying, she only gave, this is 3 months salary, less $700.
Yeah.
Why did she give me 3 months?
Did she put 10 and decide to
take off? And maybe the fact that she thought I was worth 10 would mean that I was worth 3 times more than that. And he's like pacing, questioning, why did she give me this amount? He got so pissed. I don't know if it was pissed. I think he was confused why did she give me this money?
Yes.
What is this about?
Yes. I think he was pissed off. I think he realized at that moment. Well, let's go back. When I saw them hit the person, get out the car, the two masters, quote unquote, wanted to go and see how the person was, whether or not they can carry the person to the hospital. It was Balram really who wanted to leave the person there.
Yeah.
And we can only assume, based on what we saw in the movie before, that it was one of those street children who are selling the little toys that come out at the stoplights.
I never made any assumption as to who it was.
I had assumed that it was a little girl, right? And I'm saying to myself, is it that Balram at this point is thinking that he's better than where he came from? Like he's not that level anymore. We don't need to care. Nobody cares about those people. And he did say it. Nobody's really going to care that this child died. They probably just relieved the family of one more person to be responsible for. And so he was kind of like, nobody's really going to care. Let's get back in the car and let's just go. This is not a rich person's child. This is somebody from the slums. Nobody's going to make a big hubbub about it. And nobody did.
Yeah.
Nobody did. It wasn't, they were not on a hunt for the killers of this child.
Yeah, well, not that we know of. But I agree with what you're saying. But when I was watching it, that wasn't my thought. My thought was just that he's trying to impress his masters. Like,
that could be.
Look what I can do in under stressful situations. and look what I did for you. Kind of like making it as if he's thinking that they would be indebted to him now. Like, oh, look, I saved your lives.
Yes.
In a way. Because he was just that oblivious.
Yeah. I would agree with you on that. I don't disagree with you on that. I think there were those two things playing, probably. But you are on the head with it. You hit the nail on the head with it. But I feel like there was more in play.
Right.
So after that happens, Balram, as we said, feels so good in himself, and then we see where the landlord calls him into the house and starts treating him so nice. So of course him chest puff up even more now. He's like, wow, yes, they're impressed with me as well. Even the mean son like me. Them giving me what they did, offer him like chips or something. Yeah. And he did feel good. He's like, all right, yes,
yeah, like this is what I did that for. Yeah, better treatment.
Everybody love me now. Okay. And he goes and he sits. And then basically unfold a contract.
And tell him to read it.
Tell him to read it aloud. Tell him that he's going to sign the contract. And tell him to read it for them to hear. And so him start reading it. And realize that he's basically admitting.
He's reading his confession that they wrote.
Right. To hitting the person and being the only person in the car.
So he reads. And he starts by saying, I, Balram, whatever his last name was driving on X road on X date. I was the only one in the vehicle. And I hit basically his confession.
In the middle of it though, he stops and he's like, wait, what's happening? Yeah. And they're like, no man, don't worry.
Yeah, just keep reading.
Continue reading, man. Don't worry.
He doesn't say anything. He just takes the contract, signs it, and leaves the room.
He's still in the poverty state of mind. He's still a chicken in a coop at that
because
point.
What we need to explain at this point is that early on in the show, they showed us what happens to a servant
servant's family.
No, a servant and his family.
Okay, yes.
Who does not cooperate. They actually said it was if you steal from the master, but generally you can put it towards if you don't cooperate with your master.
Yes.
They showed us what happens. You get killed, your family gets killed. It's just as simple as that.
And you're poor, so nobody's really going to care.
Nobody's going to care. So at that point, he's grappling with that thought. If I don't sign this, I'm not only dead, but my family is dead too. So it's kind of like a trap. You're just forever trapped.
Or at least that's how he feels.
He thought they were going to replace him, and he got paranoid about that. One thing though that we didn't explain is that the story is being told by Balram in the future or present day, and he's explaining his story as to how he got to where he is now.
It's a flashback movie basically.
In the present day, while he's telling his story, you see him, obviously he looks wealthy, has on a nice clothes, so you know that, he made it to a point where, he's living life. But at one point he was holding a wanted piece of paper with his picture on it. And they show that he was wanted for murder. Now, when I saw that picture, I automatically assumed that it was the murder of the girl the person that got killed in the car accident.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought that they used that confession eventually.
I thought so too.
And that's why he was now a wanted man.
I thought so too.
Little did we know, Balram eventually
turned real bad man and say, F all this BS.
Yes.
Y'all stealing from us.
Yes.
It's time for us to steal from you. Y'all killing us. It's time for us to kill you.
So he set up a plan. You have to be very strategic with the way you're going to go about killing your master. Yeah?
Yeah.
Very strategic. And remember that he was so observant. He did see the man, he did drive the master many a places with this big bag of money. And him know that he need money, If him going to do this, him going to need money. So one evening, when him driving him master with the bag of money, the night before rather, him they take up a bottle. We saw him standing up beside
but
this
when
pile.
Yet, you have to tell them, say, the same politician lady that we saw in the beginning won an election again.
Yeah.
And had a meeting with his master.
Yeah.
Where she basically said to him, because him say him want to help her out, give her a little donation. She said, meet me at so-and-so hotel with 4 million rupees. So, Balram in at the front of the car, drive, him hear that, so him know that there's a sure $4 million that's going to be in the car on X date.
Yes. So him plan up for that.
Plan up now.
Plan up for the date, because I know I'm going to need this money. The night before he's driving him to this place with a bag of money, you see a pile of bottles.
Yes.
Liquor bottles.
Yes.
Whatever bottle it, don't even matter. Him take it up and him smash it into a wall.
And him take up a particular bottle. I want to make the point.
Yeah.
Take up a Johnny Walker liquor bottle. It's significant.
Where you going with that?
It's significant.
Why?
Because at one point in the movie, Balram was thieving from his masters.
Yes, we should have gotten into that before we reach this part now, because eventually him turn and him start learning how to be crooked.
Yes.
Him following all the other drivers.
Taxi drivers. Yeah, him go to them and him say, how are you making extra money? And them tell him the little ways on the side, and you sell gas here, and you run robot taxi basically, and you make a little extra money.
So him start to now become a little crooked.
Yes. So when he was making that extra money, him say, at one point him driving in the car and him say, yes, my belly was finally getting fat now. Like him saying, yeah, rich man have big belly. But still the money that he was making on the side wasn't even enough to buy him one bottle of Johnny Walker.
Never heard that part there.
Yeah, him did say that. So I thought it was very significant when he was plotting to kill this man and then take up the empty Johnny Walker bottle.
Yeah!
And broke it and said, this is good.
That bottle here must off. It's so expensive and that bottle there.
Yes. So you can continue.
Take out the Johnny Walker bottle now, smash it so obviously it's glass.
Yeah.
So you have the little pieces of glass sticking up. Him put it in the back of the vehicle and cover it. Him did cover it with nothing?
I don't think him did cover it.
I don't think him did even cover it with nothing. Him did just put it at the back of the vehicle. And then the next evening him drive now for go drop off him master with a bag of money. And him stop. It's nighttime, road empty and it's raining hard.
Yeah.
He come out of the car and him say, oh, something wrong with the wheel at the back. Come and check it out. And the master don't want to come out of the car and convince him.
No man, we can't.
No man,
leave that. Come.
Yeah.
He's like, no. If we work together, we can just change it and whatever. So
come out of the car now, the master, and looking under the wheel. And at first I thought he was going to chicken out.
I thought so too.
But the man all look back at him with the broke up buckle in him, and I said, oh shit, him didn't catch now.
Mr. Balram not gonna do it now. Balram down the axe.
But the man look back at him with the glass in him, and him never ask him what you doing with that broke up glass.
No,
he was turn right back around and go to the wheel. And then when him go look back under the wheel now, Balram just take the buckle and choke him.
Balram said, this now ready. Stab the man in his shoulder.
Stab him, must 3 times, then flip him over, and just
slice him throat.
Right across his neck.
One slice with the buckle, done him, just like that.
Jesus, please.
I never thought he had it in him.
No, I didn't think so either.
Even though he was getting crooked, I was like, Balram can't do it.
I never think he was going to do it.
I thought he was just going to thief the money and
leave him on the roadside.
Yeah, something like that.
And be on the run forever. Yeah. That is what I thought. That he was just gonna go on the run. Now, guys, at this point, we also realize that Balram don't care about his family no more.
Let me tell you what happened. Because I ended up watching the second half of the movie
twice.
Second time. Mm-hmm. And I realized that at one point in the movie, Balram's cousin shows up.
His nephew.
His nephew? Mm-hmm. Nephew shows up with a letter from his grandmother saying that she sent the cousin on a bus and Balram must teach him how to be a driver so that he can make money to send home for the family. Mm-hmm. And she also said that she organized a wedding for Balram, so he must come back home so that him can marry the girl that she organized for him to marry. And if him don't come back home, she will write a letter to his masters explaining everything to them and basically force him to come back home to get married. I feel like that scared the living crap out of Balram.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at that point in the movie is when he started to get extremely paranoid. I think he was killing 2 birds with 1 stone, literally. He was tired of the looming of his grandmother on his life as well. The looming of his past, always there trying to pull him back in. So him kill the master, so he don't have no master no more, and the master's family will kill the family and get rid of that past, so him can move on clean slate.
Jesus.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Well, that is exactly what happened.
1 Johnny Walker bottle.
He
runs away to Bangalore to start a new life. He starts a taxi company, taxi business.
But first of all, we see that he learned from his masters, because the very first thing he did was to go to the police station, throw the bag, well, he said it wasn't all of the money, throw the bag of money in front of the police officer and say, what you can do for me.
But one significant part, I think, Balram was narrating to us basically what he was typing on the computer. He was writing a letter to
Chinese.
Chinese.
I think they said he was from China.
Chinese oligarch or some politician from China, telling him his life story. So that's why we're seeing his life story play out based on that narration. Balram goes to this hotel where the Chinese man is basically coming out of his limo and going into, and introduces himself. I'm the white tiger. I'm the one who sent you the letter.
Yeah.
The man looks at him. What would you say his face was?
Like with disgust. Like, you think you can talk to me?
Yeah. In the end, he breaks the fourth wall, where he talks about other Indian movies and how at this point, when the servant kills his master, he has nightmares and he's unable to live with the fact that he's killed him. But look at me. I'm fine. I'm thriving. I'm the white tiger.
I never liked that end.
I think that was representative of who Balram has become.
His nephew still looks very young.
Yes.
So this is not too far in the future.
No.
So the fact that it's just a few years after he kills his master, to me it leaves room for him still being found out.
With that kind of ending, we see where there's some kind of greed in him now. The riches make him greedy, and we're going to see him want more. And I feel like there's going to be a second part to this movie where him going to want to take down somebody else. It was a full Indian cast, and so we're seeing a lot of new actors, fresh actors. The guy who played Balram did a very good job at that. And I would love to see him in more movies.
Yeah.
I appreciated the fact that this was an Indian movie and it wasn't Bollywood or anything. You know, I'll give it an 8.5. I liked it.
I'll give this one an 8.
If you've reached this far, or comment at Taxi.
Okay.
Comment at Taxi. Also, if there were any points in the movie that you liked and we never mentioned, bring it up down below. We can engage in a conversation with you.
Yes, guys.
In the comments.
We don't have enough time when we do these podcasts to talk about everything that happens in the shows or the series that we watch, but we can continue the conversation with you guys
in the comments. Subscribe, share, do all those nice fun things, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for tuning in.